Our next speaker is Tammy. This is her second speech as well out of the Competent Communication Manual. And the topic of Tammy's second speech is sleep. Let's welcome Tammy to the platform.
Sleep statistically makes up about 30% of our lives as a whole. In comparison, about 16% is spent working or with work-related activities. 5% is spent eating or drinking, all those things to basically nourish ourselves. And only about 1% is spent in leisurely activities, going outside, doing things that we really enjoy. Despite how much time we all spend sleeping, many of us know very little about what sleep really is, what's really needed to make a good night's sleep. I come into contact with patients, patient family members, my own family members, friends, acquaintances who are really misinformed about sleep and what can help or hurt your sleep. I want to take this time to discuss a few negative and then also positive things that we can all do to encompass a better night's sleep. Simply put, sleep is a periodic state of rest. Sleep is defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the natural periodic suspension of consciousness during which the powers of the body are restored. But what does this really mean, though? The human body needs sleep to recuperate. During sleep, the body is in an anabolic restorative state. The anabolic processes build up organs and tissues throughout the entire body. Protein synthesis, muscle growth, brain regeneration, and insulin are all promoted. Sleep professionals have analyzed human sleep and organized it into 4 stages. A person in a normal night of sleep will transition from N1, N2, N3, and REM sleep. N1 is the first and lightest stage of sleep, making up about 5 or 10% of the total sleep time. A person can easily be awakened at this time, commonly referred to as church sleep, as in someone would nod and say, "Hey, wake up, the pastor's still talking." During this time, the level of responsiveness is very high. You can easily be awakened. This is when the body basically just prepares itself. Everything slows down a little bit for the rest of the night of sleep. Stage N2 makes up about 40 or 50% of the night. This is when the outside world becomes totally blacked out. A person is unequivocally sleeping at this time. The brain actually produces waves to totally block out any outside sources and suppress that simulation. N3 is next with a total time of 15 to 20% of a normal adult sleep. It is hardest to wake an individual from this stage. The brain puts out its strongest sleep spindles and K complexes at this time. The human growth hormone is released at this time, along with other vital hormones that are released and regulated. Lastly is REM sleep. REM is characterized by, commonly most people know, rapid eye movement that occurs. When someone is in REM sleep, you can actually look at them and see their eyes rolling and fluttering. At this time, also, total paralysis happens, and this is very distinctive of REM sleep. This is when dreaming occurs, making up 20 to 25% of total sleep time. Whether or not, this is commonly misconstrued. Most people will dream. Whether you remember your dream or not is in relation to, mostly, when you are aroused after you're in REM sleep. So if you don't remember it, it's probably a good thing that you didn't get woken up right after you were in REM. You just kept cycling through the rest of the night like you're supposed to. And this is when the mind is able to completely relax and de-stress. Sleep deprivation is a lack of overall extended period of time. Sleep deprivation affects about 63% of our American population. Chronic or long-term sleep deprivation can have drastic negative effects on an individual. These include, but are not limited to, sleep, memory loss and impairment, ADHD-like symptoms, impaired immune systems, increased reaction time, and a high risk of obesity. The recommended nightly amount of sleep for an average healthy adult is 7 to 9 hours. In my personal experiences, some of the biggest contributing factors at a short night of sleep is electronic devices. Cell phones, TVs, tablets, they're great. They serve a purpose, but when we bring them into the bedroom, they have devastating effects. They just keep our mind going when we need to shut it off. About 80% of people suffering from sleep apnea go undiagnosed. Sleep apnea is just a cessation or completely decreasing the amount of airflow that a person has while sleeping. This disorder, along with other disorders, are easily diagnosed and treated just with a sleep test and then following up. Alcohol abuse decreases the quality of sleep by affecting brain waves. Overuse of over-the-counter and prescription drugs can disarray the percentages of normal sleep. All of these can cause a poor night of sleep. On the contrary of the negative factors, there are easily things that we can all do to positively affect our sleep. As I stated earlier, 7 to 9 hours is what each of us really need on average. One of the biggest things then to make sure is we actually allot enough time to go to sleep and then proceed from there. Make sure we're not procrastinating, doing things last minute, do all the things that we know not to, and then do the things that we should do. Electronic devices should be turned off, or even better yet, left out of the room. The ideal sleep environment is for it to be cool, dark, and quiet. Common activities such as going over your day, praying, meditating. There's actually brain scans that you can see if you're up doing stuff on a tablet, watching TV, you can see the movement all over the brain. When you're being calm, sitting, thinking, praying, all those processes slow down, which just helps prepare you for the rest of the night and start your sleep off right. Alcohol usage should be limited. Over-the-counter drugs and prescriptions should only be used in accordance with the doctor's plan. Stimulants, including caffeine, which is commonly abused and overused in America, should not be ingested 3 to 4 hours before trying to initiate sleep. I hope I was able to shed a little bit of light on some of the common mysteries about what sleep is, negative and positive factors that can go along with that. Good sleep is crucially important for overall health and happiness. There are many traps of our busy lives that we can all fall into, but just recognizing, having a plan, and following up will help all of us. I hope you will make the effort to join the few Americans that actually take this seriously. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Tammy. All right, I thought Tammy did a great job with her speech. Very informational. I actually suffer from some of those same things that you mentioned as far as not putting the tablet down or trying to fall asleep with the TV on. I think everybody at some point thought that was a good idea. But as we've grown to know better, it's not a good idea. So next up in our program this evening, we will have Maurice present our table topics. So if we can introduce get our table topics master to come up.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Tonight's table topics, I have a list of 6 I'm going to ask for volunteers. Those who have spoken, it's optional for those who just spoke and for the guests, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But for the rest of you, I'll ask for volunteers, and if no one volunteers, then I'll volunteer someone. So any volunteers? Okay, Lawrence, I'll pick a number from 1 to 6. 6, okay. What is the best advice that you were given so far that got you to where you are right now?
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, the greatest advice that I ever got that got me to where I am today would probably be to wake up. It's very interesting that our topic, one of the topics this evening was on sleep, because that is something that everybody needs. In fact, I studied a little bit about advanced education, and when you sleep, actually, your brain is able to remove all the toxins that it's built up during the day. So in the morning is when you are best able to study, in one sense. And so I took that to heart when I was in high school, and that was when I did what little studying I ever did. It's also interesting that our other speech for the evening was bringing adversity into opportunity, because that's what every one of us has to do on almost a daily basis. Because for many people, the most difficult thing in the morning is to get out of bed. And so the adversity of trying to remove those nice warm covers and get out of bed and wake up. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, the next volunteer, please. Okay, JR, pick a number from 1 to 5. 4. What would you describe yourself more as? A math person, a language person, a science person, or a history person, and why?
We all know the answer.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Is there an all the above option? Mr. Toastmasters, that's a tough question to answer because I've always been a huge nerd. I've always enjoyed school way too much, what kind of scares my friends and my family. Math and science, for sure. I love all that stuff. But I also took Spanish for about 4 years, and I'm still trying to keep up with it and read books in Spanish. So I really enjoy it. It's fun knowing a different language, and I want to eventually do some more traveling in Central and South America and use those skills. Then when it comes to history, that was going to be a major around high school. I thought I wanted to be a history major, and I read a lot of history, enjoyed it, especially military history. I found it really interesting studying the Civil War, World War II. That was before I went to college and fell in love with math and science, though. So it's really hard to choose one. Each one has its own perks. And so I'd have to say that I hope in my life I can find the time to balance all four, to learn all four and use all of them. Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, next volunteer. Okay, Kedrick. 1, 2, 3, or 5?
Let's go with 2.
Okay, number 2. Please describe the difference, if there is any, between a boss and a leader.
Thank you, Tammy, Toastmaster. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Based off of my work experience, so I've been in the IT industry for 10 or so years. I think it's pretty easy to be able to tell a difference between a boss and a leader. So to me, that definition means a boss is someone that's just a figurehead or that has a title or a position, but that doesn't mean they can actually lead the charge. So, you think about old cowboys and Indian movies, you have the one guy that's already running to the other side of the mountain that says, hey, it's a lot of Indians over there or whatever, come back over, and then he starts getting everybody else in order to prepare to fight. To me, that's a leader. A boss is just looks at the other side of the mountain and sees adversity, doesn't know what to do with the opportunity to make it better. So he falls back on the true leaders that are in place already. So, to me, I think that's the difference between the boss and the leader. That's all I got.
Okay, next volunteer. Okay, Heather, pick a number 1, 3, or 5.
1.
Okay, number 1. Okay. Number 1 says, being that the theme for this week's meeting is sugar-coated, the question that I have for you is, what would you say to someone who is in close proximity to you in a small room where you have to work with this person who may have a strong body odor or really bad breath?
Oh no.
You will either have to tell the person straight out about their problem, or you have to sugarcoat or palliate the problem. for them, to, sugarcoat the problem to them. These options are mutually exclusive, so there's no do nothing option
Okay.
or no leave the room option.
Okay.
So you have to address the problem one way or the other.
Fellow Toastmasters, if I were forced to work with someone or sit near someone in a small enclosed area that may smell not the greatest, then I guess I don't like to sugarcoat things because I like to be very honest with people. I try to be really honest, but it would be pretty sad if someone told me I smelled really bad. So I guess I would try and sugarcoat it and just tell them, hey, you want some gum, or I got this new deodorant and it's really good. You should try it. It's so cheap, I actually brought 10 extra pairs, so you can have them if you want. And they might get the hint that they smell bad, but at least I'm not saying to them, you smell really bad, because that would be pretty mean. So I guess I would sugarcoat it in that situation. Mr. Toppers.
Mark, number 3 or number 5?
Number 5.
Okay, number 5. When it comes to finances, would you describe yourself more as a saver or a spender?
Well, that's a good question. And I am neither have been, but that's gotten me into a lot of trouble. I've changed over to a saver and an investor. And the only way to do that is to get on a budget. And so you plan how you're going to spend every dollar. If you're not on a budget, you can't be a saver. You're going to spend more than you planned because you didn't have a plan, and you'll never be able to save. So by nature, I'm a spender, and I think most of us by nature are spenders. And the only way to overcome that is to develop a budget, review every month before you start the month how you're going to spend your money, how much you're going to save, and at the end of the month, evaluate how well you did. So, I'm a spender, but I'm working on being a saver.
All right. Okay. If nothing else, that'll conclude table topics.
All right. Thank you, table topics, Master. Okay, the final part of our agenda this evening is the evaluation period. So we have our general evaluator who will lead the charge for us in all things evaluation. So if I can get Mr. Lawrence to come up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. So far, our meeting has come along very well. We have been able to start on time, and we've been moving along pretty much according to schedule. And because of that, I don't think I have to palliate anything as far as what we are doing in our meeting this evening. Now, the first part of this evaluation process is the evaluation of the speakers. For those of you that don't know or want a reminder, the speech evaluation is an evaluation to help us to improve. It is also there to give us a better understanding of what we are doing well. So we like to try to do a little bit of both. What are we doing good? What are we doing bad? How can we improve? And those kind of things are really important. A lot of people like to do the sandwich method, where they give a good point, they give something that needs improvement, and then they finish off again with a good point. So an introduction, a topic, and a conclusion. So our first evaluator for this evening is going to evaluate Lois's speech, and that's going to be our one and only Heather. This is her first evaluation, so this is a wonderful opportunity for Miss Heather.
Good evening. I thought Lois's speech was very good. I thought that she seemed very comfortable up here speaking, very confident, and her speech value seemed excellent. It was a very interesting topic. The preparation did seem to be fully expressed, so I gave that an excellent rating as well. Organization was above average, but that could use a little more work, I suppose. And the opening was also above average. The body was satisfactory. The conclusion was above average, and the transitions were satisfactory. As far as what you could improve on, I guess I thought that, like, towards the end, it was interesting how you kind of looked at fruit and talked about that, but I felt kind of like it was taken away from the focus when you talked about fruit. But it was a sweet idea and everything. So,
Pun intended.
but yeah. But overall, you had really great confidence and great facial expression and great use of emotion in the speech with your own experience, and it was a positive idea to try and turn the bad parts of life into better things when life gives you lemons to make lemonade. So I thought it was good. Good job.
Okay, for our next evaluation, we are going to hear an evaluation on Tammy's speech about sleep, and I'm going to get the opportunity to give this evaluation. This speech was based on the idea of organize your speech. So the main part of my evaluation is going to be on how well you did on organizing your speech. Overall, I think you did a very, very good job of giving this speech on sleep. It was very informative. It was very interesting. The one thing that I think that in organization could have been better is you could have had a better opening. The opening of the speech, you want to entice, you want to hook the audience in and give them some idea of what is the purpose of the speech and how can they possibly benefit from it, even if it's not really saying how they benefit from it, but just give them some idea that they might be moving in that direction. And I think you could have done that a little bit better. I knew the speech was about sleep, but I didn't know what you were trying to put across when you gave that. After the introduction, we knew it was about sleep, but I wasn't sure what you were trying to impress upon us until the very end, when you were telling us in the conclusion, which was very good, you were telling us why you gave the speech and what we as individuals could do to improve our sleep and to be one of the few people who actually will follow the necessary instructions, like not drinking coffee 3 hours before they sleep, although I have many times drank coffee right up until I go to sleep. I'm a sailor after all, and sailors pretty much live on coffee. But I thought that this speech was very good. I really enjoyed the little bit of good humor that you had in there. And I was kind of, after the first little bit, I was kind of hoping that you would pepper a little more with that. But all in all, I think you did very well. I think the speech value was excellent. Your preparation was excellent. Your organization was somewhere between satisfactory and above average. Your opening, as I said, was satisfactory, maybe a little bit less. The body was good, the conclusion was good, and the transitions were excellent. I really, really enjoyed this speech. I'm really looking forward to your continued speeches in the future, that we can get to know you better and get to understand some of the wonderful things that you have to offer us. So, that is the end of that evaluation. Also, another part of the general evaluation is about evaluating the meeting in general. So at that point, we go through and we talk about the various different things that help us to understand the meeting. Now, the next report that we're going to look at is going to be the timers report, once again by Heather.
Okay. The speeches, Lewis's speech was 7 minutes and 18 seconds. Tammy, your speech was 6 minutes and 53 seconds. The table topic started at 7:22 p.m. Lawrence, your table topic was 1 minute and 31 seconds. JR, you were 1 minute and 4 seconds. Kedrick, 1 minute and 7 seconds. Mark, 1 minute and 22 seconds. And then we ended table topics at 7:33. The general evaluator introduction was 1 minute and 31 seconds. My evaluation was 2 minutes, and Lawrence, your evaluation was 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay, very good. This also was Heather's first time as a timer. And one thing that I would like to mention about that is if you can keep up with the light thing, then people know that what their speech, when they're done with their introduction time and they're in, and then if they get too much, they'll know that. Because if it's always on green, you don't really know where you are in your timing. So that's one of the things that you can work on in the next opportunity to be timer. Okay, the next person that we will hear from is our grammarian, who likes to talk about how many ahs and ums and other filler words that we have. Also, how many times the word of the day is used, and the general grammar used in the program. And in the past, I have noticed that John is very good at that. So, John Griswold.
Mr. General Evaluator. The word of the day, palliate, was used by Maurice and Lawrence. Lawrence, you had 15 ums, so I challenge you to work on that in the future.
Yes.
Maurice, you had 1 Kedrick had 1, Heather, you had 8, and I think I slipped 1 or 2 in there too. As for grammar, Lawrence, I'd also challenge you to work on limiting certain words and phrases, such as kinda and pretty much, which don't add very much to your speech at all. Okay. You also said doing good or doing bad. Good or bad are adjectives. In this case, you're using the adverb, so doing well or doing badly.
My wife jumps on me on that all the time.
Okay. Yeah. Lois, you said actually excessively, so I'd encourage you to work on that. See if you can limit that from your vocabulary, limit the excessive use at least. You also said grown from the state of Georgia. Should be grown in the state of Georgia. So watch your preposition use. Kedrick, you're talking about 2 speeches. You said the second one was as well out of the Competent Communicator Manual. It should also out of the Competent Communicator Manual or out of the Competent Communicator Manual as well. You also ended sentences with so. And if you use a connecting word like that, you're starting a new sentence, so you should just stop the sentence and pause rather than trying to always start the next one. Tammy?
education, or of that part of our educational program. Now we are going to look at an educational overview. Does anyone have a prepared educational overview? Mark? Maurice, anybody?
No. I have an award though.
Ah, good, we have awards.
I think he was trying to talk.
Yeah, you're not coming in if you said something, Mark.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay, well, I will give,
I'm sorry.
I'll give a quick overview for an educational program. I'll give a quick overview of the Toastmasters Survival Guide. And I guess actually I should have turned this over to the Toastmaster and had him introduce me as the educational overview, but I'll do this myself anyhow. Okay, so in the back of your Competent Communicator magazine, there's a section called Toastmasters Survival Guide. It talks about how to conquer the nervousness and other handy hints that you might use when you are giving speeches. The first thing they mention is know the room. Now, very often when somebody comes in and does a speech, they may be giving a speech in an area that they're unfamiliar with. If that is the reality of your situation, one thing that you can do is arrive early and just walk around the room, get a feel for it, feel for how the room is situated, how the stage is situated, and the sound system or anything else that might be there that is going to affect your ability to give a speech, including things like you might be getting a lot of noise from outside the room for whatever reason, and that could, if you're a little bit nervous, that could be nerve-wracking if all of a sudden a fire alarm or something goes off in the street. That might be nerve-wracking, so if you know that that might possibly happen, you can be prepared for it. Know the audience, if possible. What type of people are you going to be talking to? This, very often, if you're giving a speech, most people are going to be giving to people at work, or they're not necessarily going to be giving a speech to people they don't know. Although, there are many times when maybe if your company is a part of a larger company, they might ask you to give some presentation to people that you don't know. If that is the experience, if you get the opportunity, you should attend some pre-meeting type situation. If they have a meet and greet before the meeting, you should be there, get to know some of the people. If not, try to again get there early and at least meet some of the people who might be there early also, to get to know them a little bit better. Obviously, you also need to know your material. The more that you can know your material, the better you can adjust your speech based on what other people, what the people in the audience may want to hear. So if you're giving your material and you give your some type of humorous part of the speech and nobody responds to that, well, if you just continue giving the same speech as you would normally give, that might not work so well. So if you know your material, you can adjust it a little bit to make it fit. Or in some cases, you might have a 5-minute speech, and then you go in and they say, oh, no, we got this going on, you're only going to have 3 minutes. And so then you have to immediately cut your speech down to a smaller amount. So if you know your material, you can quickly look at it and say, okay, I can get rid of this, I can get rid of this, I can get rid of this, and it won't make that big of a difference. Finally, relax. Just relax. The worst that can happen is you're going to totally bomb out and life goes on. Okay, so if you relax, then you have a tendency to be able to be more smooth, you'd be able to respond better to people, and you would be able to better officiate over your own meeting. Okay, visualize yourself giving a speech. That is part of what you want to do when you are practicing your speech. After you've written it all out and you start speaking it to yourself and you're timing it, you're watching yourself in the mirror, or whatever it is that you're doing, at some point, just give your speech and just visualize your audience out there and how your speech is going and how successful you are and how well the audience responds to you. And then again, by doing that, you're setting yourself up for a much better, a much more relaxed experience. Also, generally speaking, when you go into a room of peers, which most of us, that's the type of speaking that you would be doing, the people in the audience want you to succeed. They're not sitting there looking, oh, did she use too many ums? Oh, look at that, she used improper grammar. They're not really necessarily doing that unless that is their job. Okay? So, they want you to succeed. They want to find out the information you're giving them. So, don't look at us against them, or them against me, or anything like that. We're all in this together. Don't apologize. That's really important. If you make a mistake in theater, in music, they always tell the actors, the musicians, if you make a mistake, just keep going. You're probably the only one who will ever know that you made that mistake. So just keep going and it will be all good. And then concentrate on the message, not the medium. Okay, so don't look so much at what's going on when you're actually speaking, but look at what is the message that you're giving across and how well is that message being received. So that is a very important section of how to create a good speech and be able to give a good presentation. Mr. Topic Master. And never leave the podium empty.
Thank you, Lawrence. That was a great educational overview. I must say, since I've been attending Toastmasters and I hear any type of speech going forward, I automatically become the eye counter and the grammarian without fail. So maybe you guys can help me with that. How do you usually deal with that? JR, how do you deal with that?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I do it too now.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I guess that's a good thing. I don't know. But it definitely makes me more observant of the speaker and the audience. So I think at the end of the day, it ended up making us better speakers because we're cognizant of it.
Good.
You guys know what I mean. Okay, so the final piece for this evening is, I believe Maurice has some awards to give out.
Yes.
Two weeks ago, we had our table topics contest, and it went well. Last week, we gave out awards for first, second, and third place. This week, I'll give an award for participation in the table topics contest, and that award goes to Kedrick. And that concludes the award ceremony.
So, if there's no further business for the meeting this evening, I would like to... Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next week's meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry. So next week's meeting, do we have any open roles that need to be filled, or Mark, what do you got for us?
Let me go through what the roles are. So we have 2 speakers. We have Lawrence, who's giving a 10 to 14 minute speech. Lawrence, if you will, make sure the title gets updated before the meeting.
Okay. As soon as I figure out what it is.
The 4th speech in the competent communicator manual. Our Toastmaster is Woody. Our general evaluator is Kendra. Lois will be the 2nd evaluator, and Julius will be table topics. And JR is our reserve speaker. JR, if you'll stay online after the meeting, I need to go over the speech requests that you have and try and reconcile your speech manual with what we're showing in Easy Speak.
Okay.
And that's what we've got going on next week. And I appreciate the folks that John and Tammy, who have already indicated they can't be there. And then Maurice and Lawrence and Brett have already said that they will be at next week's meeting. And that helps out a lot when we're trying to plan the meetings.
Okay. All right, Mark, thanks. So I will relinquish the lectern back to our president.
One final thing, I did remember to look up online, and the awards ceremony actually reminded me. I was able to look up online, and I found out that we can get those pins, and the pins that we were talking about last week, and if you get over a certain amount of them, then you get a discount on them. And so I would like to propose, I know it's late for the business meeting, but I would like to propose that we get, a dozen of those if we can.
Okay.
Because we already have 6 or 8 people who have joined and never got their Toastmasters pin, and then of course we would have a few extras that we could use for future members that join. Okay, so I would like to make that proposal. Yeah, is there any discussion?
Discuss this a little bit. So I think it's great to have something we give new members when they join, but there are a lot of different things on the website that we can add instead of pins. They have t-shirts, hats. So I don't know what y'all think, whether you're gonna have something that's a little more usable, or pins are what y'all preferred token. So I wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
It just seems like the pins look nice, but you don't wear them very often.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of old school, I guess, isn't it?
I agree. I'm thinking the same thing. I've never seen anyone wear a pin.
Oh, I'm sorry, you mean a pen that you wear?
Yeah.
It's like
Nothing.
A pin that goes on your shirt.
a pen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pin.
Pin.
I'm voting for the actual baseball cap.
Okay, so I guess we can table that, and we'll discuss that at our next. If anyone would have suggestions on what they would like, please bring it up. We'll bring it up again at next week's business meeting. Okay, club business meeting at the beginning of the meeting. We'll bring that up. Yes, sir.
I can also get some prices. We can
Okay.
figure how much everything costs.
Okay. Mark, could you edit the thing on the club business and put that as a side on that? Is there a way to do that in Easy Speak? So it comes up on the agenda, or is that something different?
I think I can do that.
Okay.
What do you want to call it?
Just the discussion on awards.
I'll put that on next. Forget. Can I get the email address of our guest?
Yes. We'll see what we can do to get that. Okay, is there anything else we have? Going for the good of the meeting? Going once? Going twice? Thank you very much for attending, and especially Yui, is that correct? Yui, thank you very much for coming, and we'd like to get your email address, if possible, that we can contact you again when in future